Hello, everybody. Here we are with Book 10, The Grace of the Witch. So we start out on page 916, and again, we start out with stuff that we can't read so much. So, again, I want to remind you guys want your summary sheet out, because we're going to get introduced to some new people again. And you're going to want to have your smart and stupid chart handy, because we always want to pay attention to, is Odysseus smart, or is he being stupid? Okay? And again, that's open for interpretation. What you put on your list will not be exactly what somebody else's is, but you always have to defend why you put it in a positive, why you put it in a negative. Okay? So, it starts out on 916 saying, Odysseus and his men next land on the island of Aeolus. You want to write his name down. That's Aeolus. He is the Wind King, and they stay with him a month to extend his hospitality, as what's expected of them. Aeolus gives Odysseus 2 parting gifts. You want to keep track of what these are. First is a fair west wind blowing the ships toward Ithaca, and a great bag holding all the unfavorable stormy winds. So he gets the wind that will take him home, and he gets another bag of all the bad winds that will prevent you from going home. Okay? Within sight of home, and while Odysseus is sleeping, the men open the bag, thinking it contains gold and silver. The bad winds thus escape and blow the ships back to Aeolus's island. The king refuses to help them again, believing now that their voyage has been cursed by the gods. Will I stop there and ask you, do you suppose Odysseus told his men what was in the bags? I would hope you're saying no, because if he would have told his men, hey, here's the good bag of wind that's going to take us home, here's another bag, this will prevent us from getting home. Do you think you'd open the bag? I don't think I'd open the bag. So it's something to keep in mind. Is that a smart or a stupid thing that he didn't tell his men? If he would have told his men, they could have actually stepped foot on the land of home, of Ithaca. So smart or stupid? I think that's pretty clear. Then it continues. The discouraged mariners next stop briefly in the land of Strigones. I'm sure I'm saying that one wrong. Fierce cannibals who bombard their ships with boulders. That doesn't sound good. Only Odysseus, his ship, and its crew of 45 survive the shower of boulders. That sounds horrific. The lone ship then sails to Aea, and you guys want to write that down. A-E-A-E-A. Again, that's A-E-A-E-A, and it's Aea. Home of the goddess Circe. So in Book 10, we hear all about Circe. She is considered by many to be a witch. There, Odysseus divides his men into 2 groups. Eurylochus is a guy you want to write down. His name is really long, and I'll spell it twice for you. E-U-R-Y-L-O-C-H-U-S. Again, that's E-U-R-Y-L-O-C-H-U-S. Eurylochus leads 1 platoon to explore the island, while Odysseus stays behind on the ship with the remaining crew. So, we have to remember, this has kind of been a really stupid thing to have not told his men about that bag of wind, because not only did they prevent themselves from stepping foot on the soil of Ithaca, they inadvertently caused the death of every other person on all the other ships that were with them. And we are now left, instead of having a whole fleet of ships, now there's just 1. Okay? So only 1 is going to try and make it back home. And there are 45 people in this crew, plus Odysseus. Okay, so only 45 people now. That's a little dangerous. So I would say, though, when that ends on 916, there is a positive here. And we've seen this once before, that Odysseus does not send a whole crew of 45 men, or 46 including himself, doesn't send all of them in there, because you don't know what you're facing. And while it's not Odysseus going to check things out, he is again just sending an exploratory group out there, Let's check and see what's going on. And I'd say, personally, that that's a real smart thing to do. In the wild wood, they found an open glade around a smooth stone house, the hall of Circe, and wolves and mountain lions lay there mild in her soft spell, fed on her drug of evil. No, none would attack. Oh, it was strange, I tell you, but switching their long tails, they faced our men like hounds, who look upon up when their masters come with tidbits for them, as he will from table. Humbly, those wolves and lions with mighty paws fawned on our men, who met their yellow eyes and feared them. It's important for us to at least start to visualize what's happening here in Book 10, that this crew of guys that went in to check out Circe's island, to check out Aea. That's just a strange thing to walk in and see what you would think would be wild animals that would attack human beings. It's not normal for wild animals to look at a human being and like kind of pull back, at least in how they behave with their face, to kind of pull back in fear. Because I would expect a wild animal might bare its teeth to me, might growl, might do stuff like this. But they said that those animals, they fawned over their men, meaning they like kind of really liked them. But we don't even know these animals. They should be complete wild, which should be a real red flag. And let's not forget, in line 4, it had said something about these animals, wolves and mountain lions. They lay there fed on her drug, Circe's drug of evil. So there is something going on with these animals that they're laying there completely calm when these human beings come in, which they should be like a snack for them, but they're not. They're just laying there, relaxing, twitching their tails. Big problem here. In the entranceway, they stayed to listen there inside her quiet house. They heard the goddess Circe. Low she sang, in her beguiling voice, while on her loom she wove ambrosial fabric sheer and bright, by that craft known to the goddess of heaven. No one would speak until Pelides, I love his name, Pelides, most faithful and likable of my officers, said, "Dear friends, no need for stealth. Here's a young weaver singing a pretty song to set the air a-tingle on these lawns and paven courts. Goddess she is, or lady? Shall we greet her?" So you've got this guy goes in, oh my God, I hear some beautiful woman singing, and he's like kind of entranced. Oh, she sounds so beautiful. I'll bet you she's beautiful. Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? We've been out to sea for so long. So we're gonna go in. But remember, it's only the exploratory group that's going in. So reassured, they all cried out together, and she came swiftly to the shining doors to call them in. All but Eurylochus, and again, you should have written his name down. You can see it very clearly on line 25 of page 918. Eurylochus, who feared a snare, he fears a trap is being laid, and all the other guys are walking in. The innocents went after her. On thrones she seated them in lounging chairs while she prepared a meal of cheese and barley and amber honey mixed with Pramnian wine, adding her own vile pinch to make them lose desire or thought of our dear fatherland. Scarce had they drunk when she flew after them with her long stick and shut them in a pigsty. Bodies, voices, heads, and bristles, all swinish now, though minds were still unchanged. So squealing, in they went. And Circe tossed them acorns masked and cornel berries, fodder for hogs who rut in slumber on the earth. Down to the ship Eurylochus came running to cry alarm. Foul magic doomed his men, but working with dry lips to speak a word, he could not. Being so shaken, blinding tears welled in his eyes, foreboding filled his heart. When we were frantic questioning him, at last we heard the tale. Our friends were gone. So when you hear this first part of Book 10, all these guys, except the one, Eurylochus, from the exploratory party, go in to check out Circe's stone home, okay? Every single guy goes in. And what happens to them? Please, somebody answer. You guys should be looking at line 34. Line 34, she had gone with her stick, so, oh, here we go. I got my trusty dusty magical stick because I'm a witch, and I just go out and I turn you guys into pigs. If I turn this whole classroom into pigs, who's going to save you? Nobody. Oh, but wait. Eurylochus is outside. He didn't come in. He sees possibly, or he hears. All of a sudden, those men are no longer men. They are simply pigs. Circe's happy. Her little witch's prank, it worked. And now she just feeds them all the crud that you might feed to your pigs. Eurylochus zips back down to the ship. Now remember, who's at the ship? The rest of the guys, and you should be saying Odysseus. Odysseus, we have to remember, is he the epic hero? Is he the larger-than-life hero? Was he the larger-than-life hero that went up and stood up against the Cyclops? Did he beat the Cyclops? Well, yes, he did. Do you suppose he's going to go against a witch? Do you suppose he's going to listen to the voice of reason? That's something you guys really have to consider. Will he listen to the voice of reason? Who's going to be the voice of reason? Okay? Make sure you guys are paying attention to that. If we look back on 920, again, this is the section you guys can't read so well. It says Eurylochus tells Odysseus, because remember, when he finally gets there, oh my God, he's so worked up, he can't say anything. Eventually, he gets to the point where he can say it. Eurylochus tells Odysseus what has happened and begs his captain, sail away from Circe's island. You know, because it was a trap for everybody. Against Eurylochus's advice, however, Odysseus rushes to save his men from the enchantress. You'll have to figure out, was this a good thing or a bad thing? On his way, he meets the god Hermes. Maybe make sure you write his name down, Hermes, who gives him a magical plant called moly to protect him from Circe's power. Again, moly might be something that you write down. Only Hermes can give it to him. Still, Hermes warns Odysseus must make the goddess swear that she will play no witch's trick. Armed with the moly and Hermes' warning, Odysseus arrives at Circe's palace. Circe welcomes him and leads him to a magnificent silver-studded chair. So here we are. I am at Circe's. I'm getting ready to go to Circe's palace. I'm trying to get there. Some god named Hermes gives me some plant, which is truly poisonous, gives him this plant so that he can survive the witch's trick. Because, you know, she's a witch. She's not real honest. So you guys want to make sure that you guys are paying attention to what's going to transpire between them. Of course, your tour guide is here. I'll help you. The lady Circe mixed me a golden cup of honeyed wine, adding in mischief, her unholy drug. So right away, she's already planning to get him. I drank, and the drink failed. But she came forward, aiming a stroke with her long stick, and she whispered, "Down in the sty, and snore among the rest." She's expecting her trap is going to work. Without a word, I drew my sharpened sword, and in one bound held it against her throat, and she cried out, then slid under to take my knees, catching her breath, to say in her distress, "Oh my God, my plan's not working. Why didn't you become a pig? What champion of what country can you be? Where are your kinsmen in your city? Are you not sluggish with my wine? Ah, wonder. Never a mortal man that drank this cup. But when it passed his lips, he had succumbed. God, no guy has ever come here before and managed not to fall under my spell. You must be somebody special. Odysseus, then you are. O great contender, of whom the glittering god with golden wand spoke to me ever and foretold the black swift ship would carry you from Troy? Put up your weapon in the sheath. We two shall mingle and make love upon our bed, so mutual trust may come of play and love. To this I said, Circe, am I a boy that you should make me soft and doting now? Here in this house, you turn my men to swine. Now it is I myself you hold, enticing into your chamber to your dangerous bed to take my manhood. When you have me stripped, I mount no bed of love with you upon it, or swear me first a great oath if I do. You'll work no more enchantment to my harm. She swore it at once outright, as I demanded, and after she had sworn and bound herself, I entered Circe's flawless bed of love. Now, if you guys remember, we already found out, and this was back, I think, in book 9. Maybe it was book 1. I'm looking back real quick. There was something said about Circe, and I don't expect you guys to find it maybe as quickly as me, but it said something earlier about she detained him for a period of time. Doesn't say how long on that page, but if I look back here, oh, I just know about Calypso. Circe had this plan to turn him into a pig. Didn't work, but she's a witch, and she's gonna still want to lay a trap, okay? Odysseus remained a man, and she knows exactly who he is. He's not any run-of-the-mill guy. He is, oh my God, the great Odysseus that takes on the Cyclops and survives. Oh my God, he laid such a great plan. She's pretty impressed with him. And her whole plan is, dude, let's play checkers. I'll play checkers because, you know, you're an incredible human being. You're not any run-of-the-mill human being. You are an epic hero. Wouldn't it be great to tell all my friends that I played checkers with an epic hero? Now, I would say, I think Odysseus has done a very smart thing because he said he would play checkers if. What did he make her promise? Anybody? Line 77, if you did not come up with the answer. You swear, you take a great oath and promise me you won't do any more enchantments to harm me. So, can't do anything to me. And she, of course, she swears it right away so that they can go play checkers. And he's good with that, okay? Circe's maidens bathe Odysseus and offer him a tempting meal, yet his mind remains on his captive men. Oh my God, let's not forget. You guys really have to pay attention to how does he get everybody out of this pickle? Because he can still think, okay? So he's thinking, and how do I get my men out of this? He's got to lay a plan. This plan, not so simple. Circe regarded me as there I sat, disconsolate, and never touched a crust. Oh, here comes the plan. Then she stood over me and chided me. Why sit at table mute, Odysseus? Are you mistrustful of my bread and drink? Can it be treachery that you fear again after the god's great oath I swore you? Oh my God, you're not eating. I'm concerned. My God, I need you to eat. How will you ever keep up energy to play checkers? I need you to eat. He turns to her at once and says, page 922, Circe, where is the captain who could bear to touch this banquet in my place? A decent man would see his company before him first. Put heart in me, to eat and drink you may. by freeing my companions. I must see them. Oh, dude, I will eat a feast so we can go play checkers. If you'll turn my men all back into men. I can't handle them being pigs. Can't do it. But Circe had already turned away, her long staff in her hand, and she left the hall and opened up the sty. I saw her enter, driving those men turned swine to stand before me. This girl really wants to play checkers. She stroked them each in turn with some new chrism, and then behold, their bristles fell away. The coarse pelt grown upon them by her drug melted away, and they were men again, younger, more handsome, and taller than before. Their eyes upon me, each one took my hands, and wild regret and longing pierced them through. So the room sang with sobs, and even Circe pitied that transformation. Exquisite the goddess looked as she stood near me, saying, Son of Laertes, and the gods of old, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, go to the sea beach and sea-breasting ship, drag it ashore, full length upon the land, stow gear and stores and rock holes under the cover. Return and be quick. Bring all your dear companions. Now, okay, you got to remember, she has just turned all his men back into men and said, oh, dude, why don't you pull your ship up on land? Yeah, pull your ship up on land, protect it all, and come back. Bring all your guys. All your guys. That'd be great. We'll have this great big feast. Now, what do you suppose he should be doing? Just got his men turned back into men. Should he be running for the ship, leaving and getting out of Dodge? I would say yes. That's what he should do. But he is a man, after all. Now, being a man, I could not help consenting. So, of course, I go get everybody, store everything. So I went down to the sea beach and the ship, where I found all my other men on board, weeping in despair along the benches. Again, this is where Homer, our author, speaks to us and gives us kind of like an analogy to, not an analogy, kind of like a metaphor to help us visualize what has just happened. Sometimes in farmyards, when the cows return well-fed from pasture to the barn, one sees the pens give way before the calves in tumult, breaking through to cluster about their mothers, bumping together, bawling. Just that way my crew poured round me when they saw me come. So his men are just like animals when they're so excited to get to the barn, to see somebody, oh my God, you're going to give me some relief. His men look to him as the true leader, like they can't do anything without Odysseus, okay? So even if it's just Odysseus, they will be thrilled to death that it's at least Odysseus, because they're lost without him, because he is such a fantastic leader, okay? Their faces wet with tears as if they saw their homeland in the crags of Ithaca, just because they saw him. Even the very town where they were born. And weeping still, they all cried out in greeting. Prince, what joy this is, your safe return. Now Ithaca seems here, and we in Ithaca. They are celebrating. There's a party right there. Oh my God, you came back to us. But tell us now, what death befell our friends? And speaking gently, I replied. So they realized, oh my God, he's probably lost all those men. And they still look at him like he's a phenomenal leader. They don't question when some of his men die. They don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, it's going to happen if you're going to war. You're going against somebody unknown, something unknown. You're going to lose people. And they don't have a problem following this man. They will follow him to sheer death here. But his response to them is such. First, we must get the ship high on the shingle and stow our gear and stores in clefts of rock for cover. Then come follow me to see your shipmates in the magic house of Circe eating and drinking endlessly regaled. They turned back, as commanded, to this work. So everybody there, -1, everybody there is all good to go with this. Sure, let's put the ship up. We're going to bring it up on shore. We're going to store all our stuff, and we're going to go up to the witch's home. They turned back as commanded to this work. Only one lagged and tried to hold the others. Oh, Eurylochus it was, who blurted out. Eurylochus, our voice of reason. Where now, poor remnants? Is it devil's work you long for? Top of 924. Will you go to Circe's hall? Swine, wolves, and lions she will make us all. Beasts of her courtyard, bound by her enchantment. Remember those the Cyclops held? Remember shipmates who made that visit with Odysseus, the daring man? They died for his foolishness. When I heard this, I had a mind to draw the blade that swung against my side and chop him, bowling his head upon the ground. Kinsman or no kinsman, close to me though he was, but others came between, saying to stop me, Prince, we can leave him if you say the word. Let him stay here on the ground. As for ourselves, show us the way to Circe's magic hall. So all turned inland, leaving shore and ship and Eurylochus. He too came on behind, fearing the rough edge of my tongue. So Eurylochus is the voice of reason, says, hey, I don't think we should go. He's already lost a bunch of men to the Cyclops. And of course, here we are again. This is time number 3. He ignores, and Odysseus does what Odysseus wants. What is the great quality that Odysseus has that kind of is a problem for him? I would say it is curiosity. It's like curiosity that kills the cat. Well, curiosity is killing some of his crew every time. Okay, we already know that when he was with the Cyclops, he lost at least 5, 6-ish guys, maybe 7. So here we are. Eurylochus is like, dude, I don't think we should do that because I know we're going to get turned into pigs. We're going to get turned into other animals. You know, I was there. I saw what happened. And nobody wants to listen to him. Nobody on that crew. And so here you have Odysseus. Odysseus ticked. He is ticked right off because you dare go against me? You dare come up with another plan? Oh, he's ready to kill him. And the rest of his men, let's just leave him behind. Line 157. Meanwhile, at Circe's hands, the rest were gently bathed, anointed with sweet oil, and dressed afresh in tunics and new cloaks with fleecy linings. Oh my God, they're giving them great clothes. Everything's so wonderful. They're still men. It's lovely. We found them all at supper when we came, but greeting their old friends once more, the crew could not hold back their tears, and now again the room rang with sobs, and then Circe, loveliest of all immortals, came to counsel me. All your men are here and they're sobbing. This is not a party. Son of Laertes and the gods of old, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, enough of weeping fits. I know, I too, what you endured upon the inhuman sea, what odds you met on land from hostile men. Remain with me and share my meat and wine. Restore behind your ribs those gallant hearts that served you in the old days when you sailed from stony Ithaca. Now parched and spent, your cruel wandering is all you think of, never of joy after so many blows. She's kind of like a spoiled brat here, okay? Because, hey, I'm having a feast. Your men are all dressed to party, and geez, you're eating, but you're just so happy, you're just crying over it, man, it's so wonderful. Hello? You need to eat so we can go play checkers. That is her primary focus. Would you stop crying? Would you think about me and playing checkers? That's all she wants. And it's not serving her well. Oh my God. You just keep whining and crying and reliving all your old stories. Let's get focused, eating, playing checkers, in that order. As we were men, we could not help consenting. Oh my God, yes, we shall eat and go play checkers. So day by day we lingered, feasting long on roasts and wine until a year grew fat. They've been there for a year. But when the passing months and wheeling seasons brought the long summery days, the pause of summer, my shipmates one day summoned me and said, "Captain, shake off this trance and think of home, if home indeed awaits us. If we shall ever see your own well-timbered hole on Ithaca." They made me feel a pang, and I agreed. That day and all day long, from dawn to sundown, we feasted on roast meat and ruddy wine, and after sunset, when the dusk came on, my men slept in the shadowy hall. But I went through the dark to Circe's flawless bed and took the goddess's knees in supplication, urging as she bent to hear. So Odysseus does listen to his men a little bit here. Hey, we've been here for a year, dude. Can we go home? He waits for his men to go to sleep. Let me go. And he says, he took the goddess's knees in supplication. So supplication, it says a humble request or prayer. So he's kind of like begging the witch, could you let us go? We really need to go home now. So he does listen to his men here. "Oh, Circe, now you must keep your promise. It is time. Help me make sail for home. Day after day my longing quickens and my company give me no peace, but wear my heart away pleading when you are not at hand to hear." So he does, he asks her. The loveliest of goddesses replied, "So, dude, this is how you're gonna get home." So there's a couple of things we need to make sure we pay attention to. She's gonna basically lay out a couple of choices he's gotta make. "Son of Laertes and the gods of old, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, you shall not stay here longer against your will, but home you may not go, unless you take a strange way round and come to the cold homes of death and pale Persephone." Now, you guys have not, I don't think, you haven't read anything about death. Death is the goddess, anybody know, anybody? That would be Hades. He is god of the underworld. And there was a story about this woman named Persephone, and Hades took a liking to her. He thought she was so beautiful. Persephone went to live in the underworld with him because he stole her. He took her. And her mother, I want to think her mother's name is Demeter. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's Demeter. And Demeter helps to, in her family line, it's like they are responsible for making things grow so beautifully, so great. And when Persephone is taken to the underworld, everything stops growing and human beings start to face real life challenges. And Zeus is finally asked, "Hey, would you go please say something to your brother Hades? Because we need to have Persephone come back up above ground. The humans cannot survive if nothing is growing." And so eventually, Hades gets a lot of pressure from Zeus. Eventually they strike a deal that Persephone can go back and she can live above ground for like 5-6 months a year. And then the other 5 or 6 months of the year, or 7 months of the year, she has to go back underground and live with Hades. And so that, you guys have to understand that mythology, our mini myths that we are going to be reading, they all explain things that, you know, they come up with a story that explains things so that it becomes acceptable to people. So, when Persephone comes above ground, that's when all of our crops grow, our trees come into bloom, our flowers come into bloom. We are allowed then to harvest all those crops at the end of the season, and that's when Persephone is getting ready to go back underground into the underworld. And that's when all of our crops, all our flowers, all our trees, everything goes to die or goes into dormancy. And so when she comes back up, everything comes back to life. So then she says, "You shall hear a prophecy from the rapt shade of blind Tiresias of Thebes." Now you guys want to write down Tiresias. You need to know who Tiresias is. It says he gives prophecy. He is a blind, wrapped shade, okay? He is forever charged with reason, even among the dead. So he lives in the underworld. How do you get to the underworld? A human being cannot get to the underworld unless they are dead. And that presents a huge challenge to Odysseus and his crew. How do we get there? Because we're not dead. To him alone of all the flitting ghosts, Persephone has given a mind undarkened. So you go down there and you talk to him, and he'll tell you how to get home. But it's extremely dangerous because in order to be there, you have to be dead. What will you lose in order to go there? After this, I felt a weight like stone within me, and moaning pressed my length against the bed, with no desire to see the daylight more. And that's the end of book 10. You guys really have to make sure, I want you to take a moment right now, talk to people sitting beside you. What have you written down today about book 10? It's all about Circe. What has happened? What did she do to his men? What did she do to him? What did she want from him? What did he have to do to her to protect himself? Who gave him help? How did he plan? How was he able to be successful with his plan to survive Circe? Well, so far he is surviving. His men are surviving. They haven't left, but they have survived. Make sure you write down something about what she tells him at the very end of this book so that you guys can keep track of, oh yeah, this is where she said he has to go. And when we pay attention, I think it will be in book 12. We'll see those two branches. I forgot we had to talk to Tiresias. So make sure you've written Tiresias's name down. Make sure you have written down Eurylochus, and make sure you wrote down a summary for book 10. Just a couple of things won't do you when I grade this later. Okay? So take a couple of minutes to do that. And then once you guys have done that, then you guys should be getting your worksheet over book 10.